guys, and welcome to 2018 Cat Teroscope and my review for 2018. This is a general review. I want to see all signs and I want to see what the general energy will be. So it's worth to mention that we are also entering a year number 11. 11s are very spiritual. Aquarius rules number 11. This is not to say that everybody reaches 11's potential. You see, in numerology we have 1 to 9, and then we have special numbers 11 and 22. These numbers are given mastery. They're given special abilities in achieving certain things. These abilities are not given because we were born in that. We have to really work hard throughout our lives to really deserve them. For example, most 11s are going to spend most of their life up to their, I would say, 40s or maybe even 50s, really baking their trade and being exposed to all kind of circumstances. In tarot, justice, strength, because these two cards are kind of changeable in different decks, are 11. However, I also associate the High Priestess with 11. She is represented with the Roman 2, which to me does look like 11. 11 is a number of illumination. So 1 is a leader. 1 is a leader of the leaders, but also 1 plus 1 is 2. So check it out. In 11 we have unity of leadership and softness. Hence 11s are trained to be healers all their lives. As you can imagine, I'm a number 11, and I'm telling you this from experience on my own skin. It took me really up to recently to really realize how things should be positioned, and yet I don't have all the answers. I am still continuing to work on them. So now as I was laying down these cards, as you have seen, and I did put them on a fast, we do have 11 that reappeared, or appeared rather to say, and we do have the Master, which is 22. We also have a 2 over here, and we also have 1 over here, and we also have 0, which is kind of like a baseline. So it is really confirming that numerological number 2, year number 2, which is also going to be really good year for everybody who is a number 2, because you see, we 11s will live most of our lives as number 2. Number 2 means that we have to learn how to cooperate with others, but not to suck up to them and not to give in to them. Learn how to have our own spine while still actually accomplishing our things. This is really hard, and I really believe that that was like the guiding principle behind the Greek what do you call it, councils, right? Because first of all, you had to be 45 to enter it, and then that was assumed that you have learned lessons on your own skin, and hence you'll be able to better kind of handle them. So the very first card that came out from Earth Magic Oracle cards is Autumnal Equinox. Autumnal Equinox. We say fall here in North America, and release. So let's call it fall equinox. So what do we really see here? It's kind of interesting because I kind of like aligned this and wanted to interpret this sort of like as per quarters as well as globally, but it was kind of really interesting. This was the very first card that appeared, and in many areas of the world, trees prepare for the winter and conserve their energy by contracting their life force, right? Which is they release their leaves, which have required the rays of the sun and nourishment from the earth in order to maintain robust growth and appearance. It is kind of like not a decision that trees will make, at least not in the usual sense, right? Instead, it's a natural response to the decreasing cycle of light that sets up the gradual and steady release of the tree's leaves. How remarkable it is that these trees, and actually for that matter, all of the Earth Mother's children, simply know what to do with the changes in climate. Don't you wonder how sometimes it would be so nice to be programmed and know how to do and when? Although this seasonal shift appears to be a death of sorts, it's only a preparation for the next cycle of life, one that will naturally follow the more extreme contraction of winter, as kind of an aspect of the life, death, rebirth cycle, right, that we find is represented in so many different ways. So, being the first card, and after shuffling, I kind of stopped this and I was thinking, okay, how do I put this together? So I think this is what it means. To start out the year, it's the time to let anything in our life fall away that is no longer useful or needed for the emerging expression of who you are. You see, let's go back to that number 11. I just told you, I had to live most of my life, and most of the time, I will live as a number 2. In order to live as number 11, you really have to figure out what is important. And 99% of the things will not be important. So this is also telling us, right, that we have to shed what has become burdensome and what no longer is congruent with our soul's purpose. We need to conserve our energy by allowing ourselves more rest, while at the same time making preparations for the following seasons. In this case will be winter season. So interestingly enough, the very first quarter here is a winter, and it's asking us to kind of let go, especially look in material possessions. What is the guys that you don't really need? Because number 11 is very altruistic. They are not motivated by money. Be really brutally honest with yourself, because you have to figure out what you can give away and what has to be released, right? This card also tells me that we should consider shedding relationships that possibly serve their purpose and they're no longer viable, as well as work or a job that maybe has become devoid of interest and passion. With release comes a sense of being much lighter. I guess just like these trees, and they're kind of like openly naked as their leaves kind of departed from them. Life is ready to birth following a period of being quiet and going through gestation. So let go of whatever has outlived its purposefulness, I would say, and trust that something else will take its place. So I always advise, clean your closets, clean your house, make a room for something else, because it's just not possible to add more things in a glass that is full. We all keep saying, oh, I want this, oh, I want that, but then where is the room to place this? You have to understand that physically and spiritually we kind of like react in a similar way. We have to have a space to kind of place this in. And my Cat Tarot people, you, yes you are here because you do want to become a better person. And you are a better person just by listening to this, just by doing the small changes. It takes so little to change this world. And together we can do it. It takes literally one person to actually start the motion. And I think we are moving in this direction because the second card was crystals and focus. One of my favorite cards, because my personal favorite color is purple. And this is an amethyst crystal cave that's sort of like bathing in the river or water. And also what I really like here are these kind of points of light, right? And this is kind of indicating that it has a spiritual and healing force. And the crystals do have this special, let's call it, magic, right? they have been used many years for decoration, but like in particular purple has been used by royalty and by clergy because it also had the higher purpose, which was to connect us with our purpose and who we are supposed to be and open up our psychic capabilities. So since the violet color is the same as the crown chakra, it has often been referred to as a spiritual stone. So the nature of quartz crystals, the second most common element in the Earth's crust, is they help focus the power of our life, force, or spirit. And where attention goes, power flows, and crystals magnify this power tenfold. Our intention influences where our attention goes. When we are consciously aware of our attention, it facilitates the focus of the spiritual power and also supports the manifestation in reality. So, if you only heard blah, 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 I get it. First of all, you're going to be provided a link, and it's a quick link to Amazon where you can get yourself an amethyst crystal. I highly advise you do that because it's simply a stone that makes you think, makes you wonder. Just by sitting in front of you, it's going to give you a direction. It's the stone that rules us instead of us ruling the stone. So this is telling me it is time to bring our complete focus to the subject that we really want. So of course we cannot put something new in the house unless we clean it. So we are starting with that motion, and then we are really thinking what we want. Whether this is a project, relationship, or simply a relaxing time that we want to spend walking in the nature, we have to kind of like realize that we need to be present for it. And we need to kind of like really release our wishes to the universe. So the crown chakra is the top chakra that kind of opens up. That's why people say love and light, because through crown chakra, through the spine, that light enters and helps us to kind of go in this direction that we want. And it has to be free. So you can get the circulation of light by actually, and connect to your karma, by actually having the small steps, as I'm telling you, by focusing and clearing it. This is actually going to help us have this crystal clarity, as they say, right? And be in the flow of life force and have actually become one with it. So then our wish is not going to be some wish, something that is somewhere else written, you know, or what they say, Dr. Phil, just write like, what you want and just like wait for it to happen. It doesn't work this way. You have to be realistic with yourself. You have to see what you cleared. You have to see what possible issues you had. Did you handle too many things at once? Do you need to kind of like focus on fewer things than usual? So guys, keep your eyes, ears, and heart focused on that what you need to pay attention to, and miracles can be created. I do wish you to focus on 2 or 3 things, and I do not advise to focus on, let's say, a person. I would focus on a concept. If this is love and spiritual union, I would say, I need to create that. This is my focus. Once when you go into, he has to be 6 feet tall, she has to be blonde, thin model, you're wasting the gifts that the universe can shower you. Because everybody gets what is perfect for us at the time for our learning lesson. Because we have these soulmates coming, but we also have a spiritual contract, or as they call it, the karma contract. You guys have all received a special offer for karmic contract to figure out what you can actually fix and what you can actually pay attention to, because it does help. For me, I wish I had that done for myself, because I kept repeating one mistake after another. I kept meeting the same person in a different body and repeating my mistakes until finally I had that tower moment and exploded in my face. And by the way, we do not have the tower the entire year. Isn't this awesome? So look at that. It kind of like makes sense that the next phase would be this rainbow. And isn't this something that we always, and I don't know which one of you doesn't stop in awe by seeing something so beautiful? So what is rainbow? It is created by the collaboration of sunlight and water in the atmosphere. You can do it yourself simply, right? By washing the car. So what happens? The water droplets become tiny prisms that collectively diffuse and disperse light onto a ribbon of colors, right? And then we see every hue that we are capable of seeing on this planet. So rainbows symbolize many things, right? Including good luck, bridge to heavens, and abundance. It is really difficult for any of us to ignore the majesty of rainbow, right? And this gentle power. It is like almost like gods are smiling at us. So when you see the rainbow, the storm has passed, and it is time to enjoy the refreshing beauty of this cycle. Maybe even if times have been difficult, even if clearance of things basically wanted us to kind of deal with, things that maybe we didn't want to deal. If we did that, we are going to be rewarded, right? Don't just look at, quote unquote, the brighter side, because this is called also blessings. Don't try to adhere to some, academic mantra that has no heart and has no depth. I hear people repeating their positive affirmations. Let me tell you, it doesn't work. So instead, show your genuine gratitude in words and in deeds to the other people. This ever-evolving process of life itself is a blessing, and it is an opportunity to exist as a human being on Earth. Our planet is truly a beautiful garden. Let's keep it. We are so close to destruction, guys. Do you know that not a single psychic, not a single, as they call them, eye-seers, see this planet past year 2100? Most of us are parents. We would like our children to have their children and so on and so forth. But it is on us and upon us to kind of give love to the planet, because planet was giving this love to us all along. So even though, as I said, this planet is possibly a really beautiful garden, maybe sometimes doesn't appear to be so. Sometimes all we see is wars and issues, right? Now keep thinking about the blessings. And as far as blessings, I want you to bless your difficult or even painful experiences and let them go. I think this is sort of a second call. And then new things will happen. The very last card here that I have is a new moon. And I love this new moon because it comes with this like such a loving couple gazing the romantic sunset. So it is a time for the new beginning. 11, year after all, is going to help all of you who are willing to be light workers. Yeah, and this is what makes my channel different. I don't just give you some quick get together, or he's going to leave you, he's going to come back and not to come back. Yes, you get that part as well. But this is the key part, because we are an army of do-gooders. We are an army of people who can actually move us forward. And for those of you who do really want to do that, it's a promise that we are going in this direction. So whether this is to help others, to go to the higher realm, to launch a project, a new relationship, or a new something that kind of has been tucked away for a later date, this is the time. We did set intention. We did kind of give our blessings. And now it is a time to emerge. And anything that has been in the dark, maybe some of us wonder, will this ever happen? Rest assured, do this job, do this work that I have asked you to do, and it will happen. The next step, this step as a new moon, is to put into action what is required to fully realize this idea. Because as you know, moon has the phases, right? It initiates another lunar circle, right? It's moving from darkness to fullness and then back again over approximately 1 month. I don't know, it's like 28.5 to 29 days. The promise is that the moon is going to be there, right? As long as the moon exists. So whatever the new project is, it has to be done on healthy grounds, because obviously we have been asked so many times over this year to do it. This is number 11. I told you, number 11 is not an easy number, but it gives you numerous rewards if you're willing to do the work. You will not believe the red carpet treatment. And it is just like that. You're going to say, oh my gosh, I'm rewarded for who I am, for just being nice to people. So this card promise has two meanings. It can be a commitment and guarantee to yourself or someone else that a particular thing will happen. Or it can imply that something specific is expected to happen. When you align your will with the will of spirit, and when you focus upon what you wish to have happen, then this promise will be kept. So I was going into so many details about these 4 cards because as I noticed this waterfall down in the other decks, it kind of like summarized really succinctly really the rest of the story. So let me explain. Look at this. In the other cards, what do we have? In tarot, we have major arcana and minor arcana. There is a huge difference. Arcana means secrets. And those are those universal secrets that we are here to actually go and get through the dark and get into the light and kind of like move into the better life. Third eye chakra came out. The crystals came out. That message repeated. And so did the solar plexus chakra, which is the center, which kind of regulates both our connection with the other people and our ability to give the confidence, as well as our comfort with that we can handle daily tasks. So we have transformation, we have awareness, we have balance, we have trust, we have completion, and we have the master. I have to tell you, I am so beyond impressed what kind of cards we have. So let me give you sort of like a little information about the first quarter. The first quarter is going to be some kind of transformation. So in the other decks, this card is called Death card. And that card with itself carries that mission. Sort of like it can be very ominous, kind of like and strange and harsh, but can also be a beginning of a new phase, such as death of pregnancy is the beginning of a child. So hence it's kind of very joyful occasion, right? So it's asking us to release what doesn't work and actually see what we can do differently. Because remember, if you keep doing the same things over and over, we cannot expect different results. It's also asking us to kind of like attend to new vitality. Look at that. This is also a purple card. And I don't know if you can see it with the sliding, but again, it's connecting to this like 2 chakra sort of like focuses that we need to have, telling me, and there is this rainbow motive again, telling me that maybe if we need to kind of go to a new fitness routine, or if we want to exercise, we kind of have to kind of like realize what we neglected, because it's reversed. And so is this card. Awareness reversed, again, look at that. It's again telling us about this crown chakra. Again, it's telling us about the magic and about certain things that we should be able to connect and to create. So when awareness is reversed, just like new vitality, this is kind of telling me that some of us are not really aware, and maybe we have been going through some kind of suffering. And suffering is very much like stale water, right? When you drink water, everything seems to be okay. Leave it in a glass, it's going to get icky and yucky. So we need to kind of at least kind of acknowledge what we need to release in order to know how to transform. And then we are giving the tools how to do that. And creator here is basically the Zen master. Look what he has. He has the solar plexus chakra, right? So this card invites us to basically recognize and participate in understanding that, you know, everybody who mastered these kind of fires, the solar plexus, those are the fires of passion, right? This is the person who is able to kind of create a better thing for themselves and for everybody else. Because as you know, without fire, it will be hard to survive. And sometimes also fire can go out of control. So it has to be integrated, that there is no longer any difference between who this person is inside or who we are inside and in the world outside. So that's generally the gift of understanding and integration, right? So the gift of light that I was telling you about. So this is King of Fire or King of Wands, that tells us that anything that we undertake now with the understanding that all that we want to undertake, what has to come from maturity, will bring enrichment to our own lives and to the lives of others. Using whatever skills you have, whatever you have learned from your own life experience, it is a time to express yourself. So this card here tells me that must be some kind of hidden masterpiece inside of you guys. Maybe it was on a back burner. Maybe you were told you cannot create it. Because this is generally in the other decks called a magician, who can create anything. And then it's saying, oh no, I cannot do it. Maybe we convinced ourselves we cannot do it. Maybe others convinced us that we cannot do it. But this is telling us, yes, you can. You're carrying a masterpiece hidden within you, but you're standing in a way. So just move aside and the masterpiece will be revealed, right? So everyone is a masterpiece, because God never gives birth to anything less than that. Everyone carries that masterpiece hidden from many lives, not knowing who they are and just trying on the surface to become someone. So how to do it? Drop the idea of becoming someone, because you already are that masterpiece. You cannot be improved. You have only to come to it, to know, to realize it. So it is understanding that what you are bringing to the table is important, and that what you're bringing to the table should be honored, that what you're bringing to the table should be respected. It is how we do it, how we say it. And I would say for some of you, that will be also some people that we possibly need to get rid of. People, relationships, and stuff. Oh my gosh, especially if you live in North America or Europe, or I would say Australia, sort of like the first world countries, I would say, we have so much stuff. And there are so many people who don't have them. So guys, let's transform. Let's see what is important. In the second quarter, when we need to focus, we will be challenged. And this is what happens with number 11. And we have this balance. Any imbalance is going to be corrected. Look at that. We have the circular motion here yet again, right? So it's like 3-4 times that we have it here. So we kind of like have to realize that we probably already have everything we need to have. And Nine of Fire is talking about a strategy. Here is talking about focus, the spiritual growth. But hey, just because we focus and sit in front of the fireplace and we want the soulmate to arrive, hey, unless we do something, unless we, let's say, get ourselves in shape, kind of create the profile, go and meet other people, it's not going to happen. So this is talking about some kind of strategy, some kind of like creation of it, even though maybe that didn't work in the past. And I think this is why this came back, saying maybe certain things didn't look in the past, but maybe just a small shift in a different direction will actually bring us to different results. This is not all about just winning and losing, right? This is about the heart. This is about what is the good for us. Especially this applies to people who are in some kind of like 3 people situation. Resolve it. Do you know how? Get out of it. It's as simple as that. Nobody needs to suffer. This definitely card says that there is suffering that is kind of included. So it's asking you to transform out of that suffering. You are right to demand the truth, because look at that. She's steering it. She's demanding the truth. She wants to let this light in, right? She wants to ground herself. And it is not all about the victory, but I think this card in here is saying that we have to redefine it. This victory should be about ourselves. This card here, again, is basically what happens when we don't know how to balance things properly. When, you know, we forget that our mind is meant to be a servant, and we allow our mind to run our lives. Look at this head. It's filled with all kinds of mechanisms, and this mouth is ranting and raving, right? And the whole surrounding atmosphere is kind of being polluted, as you can see. But this I don't know, what is this, factory, I guess, chimneys, but it's probably talking about factory of arguments and opinions. I don't know how often you guys to go to Facebook, Instagram, television, chat rooms. Everybody has their own 2 cents, and everybody has to have a snarky, smart comments, because simply we feel in a world that is kind of like really intruding upon of us. But also, we partially are responsible for ourselves, right? Some of us can say, hey, wait, the mind is what makes us human. It's the source of all progress. It's the source of all truths. It's like what makes humans better than anybody else. Well, if you believe that, try an experiment. Go into your room, shut the door, turn on a tape recorder, and give yourself total permission to say whatever it is, quote unquote, on your mind. If you really allow it to all come out without any censorship or editing, you'll be amazed at the amount of rubbish that comes out of our mouths, right? So this is the Page of Clouds, or Page of Swords. And it's telling us that somebody somewhere is stuck in a head, or in a head trip. So take a good look and make sure this isn't you. If you're guys dealing with somebody like that, who is trying to force some kind of control or their vision of truth, because these 3 cards are very kind of like mind cards. These are air cards. Look at this. Air, 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 air. So to me, what is amazing about that is that the lots of, from the first 6 months, will be in the realm of thinking. So this is going to be very, very important to address, that we don't overthink, that we actually have to go with emotional response, where we already know where we don't feel right, and simply figure out what better ways we can go about it. Maybe what is the better partner for us, and what is the better situation for us. Seeking the truth, I more or less see what is the truth for us. I think these 2 faces, these 2 minds, are our mind, because sometimes we think one way and then somebody else convinces us into something else. Nothing wrong about that. It is okay to change your mind. Now, this is the card that tells you that sometimes people can be sneaky, and if you really know who you are, and knowing who you are is coming from our solar plexus, so I would advise solar plexus chakra exercises, sitting in the sun, that kind of things, because you see, she's kind of letting that thing come through. Then we would know if somebody is telling us the truth, if this is also our truth. And if it isn't, we are just going to let go of that. So this is not about winning against somebody, but it's, again, I reiterate, winning ourselves, because we will be so close to completing that journey, to kind of putting this last puzzle in who we want to be, that it's going to be almost like you can almost touch it, you can almost feel it, and yet it's going to be some kind of wall, because this card came reversed. We will still need to put the final touches, because to become a number 11, to live number 11, you're always and always and always being challenged. You're always being thrown something else. So just don't say, oh, well, I did this easy exercise and something else happened and now I don't want to do it. This is what kind of year is going to be. Huge benefits, but going to be lots of work. You cannot give up, because the completion is very near. This like Mona Lisa smile, this everything is right here. We cannot go back, guys. We can only go forward. And I wish that all of us go forward in a much better us. So this is the last call for us to walk away from things that don't work. Look, is this kind of chest of money or old memories or something that we have accumulated with somebody so important if somebody is not treating us right? Did you ever ask yourself, is there something else out there better for you? Did you ever ask yourself if you trust yourself and if you want something better? Did you ever ask yourself why you haven't done certain things? Why didn't you open your arms and fly? Trust reversed, or the Fool card reversed, tells me that maybe there is still a concept that has been lost on us, even in the third quarter of the 2018. Remember, you can only go to third eye chakra if you conquer all the other chakras. In particular, two of them will be very prominent. Also, what I find interestingly is like these two colors are also opposing colors on the spectrum. So 11 means, as I told you, there are two ones, leaders of the leaders, but also a very feminine principle. This is kind of very difficult, meaning you can say very, very harsh words to someone. It is how you say it. And it is to say it really, with real intention to help them and them understanding that this is what you're doing. But rewards, guys, are astonishing, right? Not only do we have this spiritual union, but we also have this Master card. So what is the spiritual union, guys? This is a soulmate card, but not kind of like any cheesy soulmate card. This is like a really, really good one. This is like when you kind of look at this again in the third eye, you connect with someone. For those of you who did your work, who didn't kind of tuck things away, just continue things the same old, those of you will be actually uniting with somebody. Maybe you already have a relationship that has been suffering. Maybe some of us will have this relationship that was more or less based on somebody always upping us one, or somebody always needing to look better or needing to be admired, or we felt that somebody's taking away maybe our peace of mind, maybe money. But we have been working all year long to shed this, to get to this union. And guess what? Number 22. We have mastered it. So the master is Zen, is not a master over others, but the master of himself. And I don't know if you can see it, this also is a purple card. So his every gesture and his every word reflect his enlightened state. So as I told you, he has no private goals, right? So he has no desire that anything should be other than the way it is. His disciples basically gather around him, not to follow him, but simply to soak up the presence and be inspired, simply to learn. This is somebody who who doesn't do things because he thinks he has to create something. It's somebody who just really enjoys, and he kind of doesn't mind sharing what he or she has. If you guys find such a master, somebody who can help you along your path, who can guide you, you're going to come to that spot yourself really, really fast, and you'll be blessed. If you can't, keep on searching, because by the end of the year, you're supposed to get there. So keep on moving, guys. So 2018, I actually pulled one more card, which I haven't shuffled in front of everybody, but it's this one. Oops. Loyal Heart. And I'm going to read to you what it says. It has a number of layered messages, and I really like to see two owls, right? Two owls represents wisdom, but in this case represents the heart. So it says this: evidence of loyalty will appear in your life. By the way, Aquarians and number 11 is known for loyalty. And if you're telling me, oh my gosh, Kat, what are you talking about? I know this Aquarius and he or she cheated on me. Yeah, that's a number 2. That's a very beginning existence, because they were supposed to spread their wings and fly. They still haven't reached that. But this is for other people who did their work, right? So altogether, this year is going to have this flavor that others will prove faithful to us, and we will in turn be able to fully commit to them. So there is a sure and abiding certainty in your heart. Know that Spirit is always loyal to you. No matter the outer circumstances in your life, trust and have faith, for you are eternally loved, always divinely protected and divinely directed. For the relationship, it says, your partnership, friendships, and romantic relationships will have many qualities in common right now. Honest devotion, faithfulness, and a loyal heart are being shown to you. Are you as loyal in return? Now is the time for heartfelt commitments and trusting in divine protection. Prosperity message. Your long-term loyalty to your goals is becoming evident in the world of conditions, where your aspirations for success assume form in reality. Success is finally taking shape. If you are loyal to your dreams, faithful to your plans, while remaining flexible and devoted to serving others, you will be shown proof of your true prosperity. This is a time for a joyful celebration of Spirit and manifesting a partner. And lastly, we also get protection message. Are you stubborn, or are you overly tenacious about an idea? Or have you become so attached to something that you just don't know how to let it go? Could it be that it's become so much a part of you that you don't want to know, or you wouldn't know who you are without it? Now it is time to look at outdated beliefs, old ideas, and misplaced loyalties. Betrayal is only a signal that it is time to prune away all who don't deserve your trust and have no place in your life. Be new, think new, and open your heart to new things. Let go of the old and all your attachments. Spirit has awesome plans for you. Make some room. So guys, as you can see, this talks about betrayal. It's talking about that maybe we have been betrayed, and maybe we are betraying ourselves. This is asking us to let go of the past. This is asking us that if something is out of balance, because this is a karmic number and it is a number 11, that things eventually will be in balance. We eventually will have this trust. We eventually will open our arms, and things will come. Things will come. We need to kind of get the strength in who we are, what we want, and then walk away from things that are not important, that no longer serve us. Let bygones be bygones, and get rid of the people who upset you. And if you spend time being upset or mulling over certain issues, it's not going to serve the purpose. The best cause of action put the finishing touches and say, hey, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my journey. It is time for me to move on. And I'm moving on because I'm becoming the master. I do love you. However, my love has to be given to somebody else at this point. So thank you guys for this general introduction. Now we are going to go in particular signs. Cards that I intended to do. I wanted to, again, just like what we had in the summary, have quarters, kind of like to tell us the story, but I think your story is a little bit bigger than that. Okay, now really striking to me is the entry points. You know, there is like that concept of love and light, right? So that light comes through our crown chakra and exits through our base chakra. So these two chakras, the very top one and the very bottom one, seem to be coming out over here. I'm going to be coming back to this a little bit later, and it looks like that you need this opening both on a physical level and on the universal level, or sort of spiritual level. Because you kind of like have a good deck. I was like lifting the cards, but I will tell you again. You have wind, activation, forest, breath, cave, sanctuary, desert, vision quest. Then you have rest and reconsider. Then you have reach out reversed, master reversed. Then you have find balance reversed, financial and material changes, emotional loss reversed, foundation in achievements, temptation reversed, obstacle and challenges reversed. So 2 5s so far, 3 5s, 1 3 5s, abundance, guidance, conditioning, aloneness, ripeness reversed, and new vision. Now, interestingly enough, they're the same cards, just different decks, 3 different decks, the same cards. And you got this one repeating twice. Let me start. Let me just jump right in because I think it's going to make more sense. I already see where this is heading. So is there some kind of lethargy, guys, that you're feeling? Because when I see this card, it goes, you know, it definitely talks about air circulating, right? And sometimes it's stagnant, sometimes it has intensity. So always to me would say that there is like some kind of lethargy that maybe you feel, which generally is a result of lack of activation. And that would tell me also these 2 chakras are kind of like it's a bottleneck, sort of you're suffering somewhere in between. Maybe you're at a comfortable place as is, but you know, this year you're going to be challenged to get better, bigger, stronger. So maybe you need to do something to stir your senses to start with. Whether you're in the northern hemisphere where we have the winter, or in southern, like, I mean, please do something that activates you. Walk outdoors, feel the breeze, you know, inhale the different aromas, right? Either that the nature kind of like itself provides, or maybe like essential oils that you can do. Maybe even a warm bath, that's sort of like that stirring the water, can actually be self-created wind and self-created activation. This is definitely telling me it is time to release the tension and stress from your mind and from your body. Also, what can happen here, what is a good suggestion, music may activate your hearing, and that actually sparks the pleasure centers in your brain. Art can also activate your emotional responses. And don't forget, the touch of another human may activate a deep need to be physically held in some manner once again. So guys, this is time for action. I think it is your birthday, and this is going to start with your like New Year resolutions, and you're going to start engaging in some kind of activities. And the key here is to be fully present so that you forget about your surroundings and enter into that timeless space, that multidimensional experience, and let your physical body be active. Just movement alone, whether quietly dancing by yourself, you know, like preparing the dinner or hiking up the hill, it's going to help, and it's going to require you to be present, to be fully present in your body, because you might kind of like speed up like toward March with that. It looks like you're reassessing some other aspects as well, because you're kind of looking in completely different things. Again, you have this crown chakra, where I'm going, what do I want? You're going to ask yourself a lot of existential questions. Same about your existence, which is this base chakra. Am I on the right path? Okay, so did I achieve here what I want to achieve? Do I want to progress further? If I do, what do I do, right? And I think you're going to find with some kind of like really significant answers, because you're getting here this abundance card, and abundance is like this, I don't know, I call him Zorba the Greek, the king of basically pentacles, which in this particular card represents, yes, it does. I keep forgetting it's a Mercury retrograde, like we are in the shadows, so I'm already experiencing issues. So yes, we are talking about this King of Abundance, right? King of Abundance asking you to merge with your masculine and your feminine kind of like parts of yourself, kind of integrating. It's also the guy who you might meet who's going to pretty much have everything that you would desire in the earthly existence. This is the key of good husband or a good wife. More or less, I would see that, ladies, you would possibly be meeting somebody who will be really somebody that you really wanted, but you do have to do some changes yourself. Now, forest is also called breath. Now, so after activation, maybe kind of like stirring up the senses, these two cards definitely, as you can see, talks about motion and talks about letting that light get through. You see this kind of like interesting painting, and you have a crown chakra and you have base chakra, so there are blockages, which tells me you have built your walls. So when is the breathing becoming shallow? It becomes shallow when we have fight or flight, when we fear something, like we stop breathing, right? We don't want other animals to hear us, or we are just like really having anxiety. So breathing in is actually giving this life, right? So when we are in the forest, it's almost impossible not to take deeper breaths. So this richness of the forest oxygen, given basically freely and generously from the trees, is a natural exchange for the carbon dioxide that we release every time we exhale. Just imagine. I guess most of us don't think about it, but we also contribute to the nature each time we release our breath. And all these plants are actually giving this to us. So also the animals are doing the same favor to the forest, and this exchange is one of those miraculous and remarkable collaborations between plants and animals, and helping us to each other to live and survive, and to be alive and thrive. So keep in mind also that it might be for few of you your own pet project, because this ratio of this oxygen carbon dioxide exchange has been in balance for millennia, but has been changing quite dramatically in the last several years as carbon dioxide levels have been rising. So I would say through prayer and through action, because you're activating yourself. And this may be your pet project, maybe some kind of green endeavor. Maybe you're going to become volunteer. Maybe you're already working in something like that. Maybe you're going to really start to recycle and reduce your carbon footprint. Maybe you simply need to get unstuck first by allowing this breathing to come in. So if your breathing is too shallow, even though maybe feels natural, like, trust me, it is unhealthy habit and it can cause diseases. So it is kind of like really important that you remove that conditional response to danger, the shallow breath. So breathe, inhale deeply, regardless of your concerns, worries, or problems, and then let it go. And next, allow yourself to breathe a little deeper and also slower a few times. Just remember that each breath you inhale is a gift, and every breath you exhale is a gift. The forest is a clear reminder of how this works. Now, what I also see over here is kind of like really interesting, because here I have reach out reversed. So, my dear Capricorn, what is it that you feel, or who do you feel is not supporting you the way you deserve and should be supported? Maybe somebody took away their support. Maybe you're still dealing with kind of like waves of issues from the past. Maybe you are still closing some kind of emotional loss, because this is intellectual processing. Why did you do this to me? Why is this happening? To finally sinking it in the heart and kind of feeling it in the heart. This is reversed. That is good. Recovery is kind of close, and this has this like sacral spiral over here, this Fibonacci shell spiral showing over here. So this card here, connected with these cards, is telling me that this activation and this going deeper, breathing deeper, is going to actually help you activate messages, whether these are your angels, or, you know, those special 11:11 moments, or special messages in dreams, which I get. So I usually go to bed and I set an intention, you know, this is a situation I want to address. And within a week, I kind of have a dream that kind of gives me those messages. This is telling you that you have to be connected. You have to understand, not to just aim like, cluelessly in the forest, just to understand there is the connection. You are actually much bigger than you are, and you are a gift as well. But you also have to connect. These are the channels that you have everywhere around you, and you have to be able to connect with them by actually just being open to receiving these messages. Now, next one, that was kind of interesting, and I don't know if you can see it here, because he's painting on the wall over here the same curve, the same spiral. And this kind of has been a motive everywhere in the burial sites, you know, in multifold of cultures, because this is basically the coding of life. It's kind of interesting that this is coming together. However, this is saying now when you activate it, and the breathing is also cleaning all this debris and dirt that maybe got stuck in. So it's saying that maybe it's some time to withdraw, to find some place just for yourself, to maybe express yourself. Maybe it's reading, maybe it's writing, maybe it's painting, maybe it's just simply praying and meditating. It is like trying to figure out maybe also what suppresses you. Because after all, in cave he has the fire, he's cozy, but the predators are out there. So predators in today's world and civilizations are not the same as they used to be before. Bear is not going to get you, or wolf is not going to attack you, or snake is not going to come. Instead, predators can be other people. People, how they talk to us, how they behave toward us, how they enter our spiritual field. By you getting this firm grasp of your own element, and look at this, like last two elements, last 2 quarters, you are guys so coming into your element. Both of them are talking about the same thing. It talks about withdrawing. So make sure for your own health that you find some space for yourself no human devices, whatever that is, a day, hour, or weekend here and there. It is important because this is asking to step aside once in a blue moon, but this is asking you to conscientiously dedicate a few days to get the messaging, to kind of like get these revelations and get some kind of like new visions, new horizons that actually should be coming your way. Now, the interesting part here was that you got the same card, Master, which is 15, this is Devil, and this is Devil, and this is Devil. In these three different decks, they are talking to them differently and addressing them differently. You see, these two have been reversed because these are like more or less Zen messages. So you can see him holding his heart in a cage, kind of like, this is also, guys, you. This is very much you. Do you understand what is happening? You're like turning into yourself by actually going deeper inside of you and pulling that energy. This is your card. So if you had these issues with the heart, so see, this is this 5 part of this card. It's like kind of like release it, set it free, whatever it is that you're holding on. And how to do it: meditation, baths, prayers, engaging with the other people. Thinking about that is simply keeping it captive, keeping it kind of going in a circle, right? And this is also saying exactly the same thing. You know, somebody's maybe blocking this exit, the key to truly productive love relationships. Since this is your card and both of these cards have been reversed, in addition to this one that says find balance reversed, you are going to come to some kind of conclusion, what works in your life, what doesn't work in your life. Because this is the same card showing up as well. And apropos this card, as you can see, the lion has been covering himself with a sheep's clothing. So pretending to be a sheep. But worse yet, look, like this sheep stuff, a sheep fur, has been attached to him, and his feet are tight, right? So let me tell you here a story that somebody sent me, and I printed it when I saw these cards on the deck on the table, and I'm going to read it to you. So this is like, Cheryl C. I will always attribute it to her. It is very similar to the story that I say about conditioning and how weird it is not living a true life. So since obviously you're getting to the stage of trying to figure out who is who, what, where, and what makes you happy, all this exercise is really to, if you wish, shed the skin. And the snake, when it sheds the skin, has to go through some kind of rough rocks, and it kind of hurts a little bit. But you're kind of trying to figure out which one do you really want to be, and do you want to be a sheep and continue doing as you're being told, or do you want to be this lion? So here is the story, a parable. There was a lion that grew up in a flock of sheep, and so he had no consciousness that he was a lion. He didn't know he was a lion. He would bleat like a sheep. He'd eat grass like a sheep. One day, they were wandering at the edge of a big jungle when a mighty lion let out a big roar and leaped out of the forest and right into the middle of the flock. All the sheep scattered and ran away. Imagine the surprise of the jungle lion when he saw this other lion there among the sheep. So he gave chase. He got hold of him, and there was this lion cringing in front of the king of the jungle. And the jungle lion said to him, "What are you doing here?" And the other lion said, "Have mercy on me. Don't eat me. Have mercy on me." But the king of the forest dragged him away, saying, "Come on with me." And he took him to a lake, and he said, "Look." So the lion, who thought he was a sheep, looked, and for the first time he saw his reflection. He saw his image. Then he looked at the jungle lion, and he looked in the water again, and he let out a mighty roar. He was never a sheep again. It only took 1 minute. So what are basically the lessons, guys, here that we need to ponder, right? How tragic would it be to live your lives with less than what is your fullest potential, less than exploring it and investing in it. And what is still holding your mighty roar that is trapped within? What's going to take to give birth to this lion in you? You guys are going on this discovery. It is not the easiest lessons I'm going to tell you, but oh my gosh, the results are going to be absolutely insane. You know, after all, you have been born Capricorn, and you are coming into the full Capricorn. You know how sometimes you read and Capricorns should be that or that, and you say, yeah, sure, I still didn't get there. You are guys getting there this year. Like, this is like a clear message everywhere. And again, this is repeating. You need some time for yourself. You need your sanctuary. You need to find the answers, and nobody can give you these answers. You need to kind of realize also that you can do things on your own. You will actually more or less work in groups this year. I can see that. And you will be really choosy who you choose as a special person or special people. It tells me that maybe you're going to be in a group, but you're going to still kind of retain some kind of independence. This is a really good card. It says, like, look, you're going to do very well financially. It's not going to be any effort, as you know, usually it is. You usually set the goal and plan, and then we have to chase to get there, right? No, not with you. You literally are working on the inside, and the outside is actually collaborating. Because also, here you have the Five of Pentacles, which will be like that. Again, fives are always talking about the challenges and losses, and it looks like this whole layer inside of you that will be your gut feeling, and how you react to the others, and how you deal with the others. Things are going to really change massively. And this is like the key card, new vision. You see this figure in this card, I don't know, can you see it? You can see this person crawling over here. So this person is being born anew. He is basically emerging from his earthbound roots and growing his wings to fly into the basically unbounded. So these kind of geometric shapes around the body of the figure show the many dimensions of life that are simultaneously available to him. The square represents the physical, the manifestation and the known. The circle represents the unmanifested, right? The spirit, it's a space. And the triangle symbolizes this like threefold nature of the universe, manifest, unmanifest, and the human being who contains both. So when this card comes out, you are basically presented with an opportunity to see life in all its dimensions, from the depth to the heights. They actually exist together, and that's why you have crown and base chakra. This is that coming in to yourself, showing up. You know, we come to know from experience that the dark is really difficult, right? But the dark is also needed as much as the light, because we will see these different perspectives in the world. So by allowing all of life colors to penetrate, we become more integrated, because you can see here both base chakras and crown chakras being fully activated. Totally here on crown chakra, you see this entrance of the spirit. This is like spectacularly amazing, and I think this is almost like a conclusion of what I see here for you. So the next, guys, what I'm going to do, we are going to break this down by segments of life. I'm going to do the astrological houses, all 12 houses. So we're going to see what has to be worked on which house, and where you're going to see these changes the most, or where you're going to manifest, what you can sail through, and what is going to call for your attention. So let me get that spread next. Is generally the house that is connecting to your outward personality and to your appearance. You're getting basically 6 of Cups over here. I'm using vice versa deck, so this is not exactly the traditional tarot. We see kind of messages and alternate messages, not necessarily reversals or anything else. So what do we see here in Six of Cups? We kind of like these young lovers that we actually seen in the kind of like initial kind of scene. Looks like, hey, they have lost track of time, right? And we see this like beautiful town, like with lamplight and starry skies, kind of like really, really brilliant over here. It's one of those dreamy kind of places to do that. Maybe the dad is coming out to say goodnight. So I think this is like really upbeat kind of like scenery, and we have seen that you are getting this wind of getting into the emotions, activating, finding what you want. And this kind of like goes with this. You'll be pulling something from the past, something that you have liked, something that already been there. Maybe there is like nostalgia for something. But this is definitely telling me that you need to take advantage of upbeat emotions to accomplish things on every level. And not just like interpersonal. So whether this is work, study, or other responsibilities, and I know that may be kind of less important than to those that basically are the matters of the heart, but this is also coming down to earth long enough to kind of like keep home fires burning, right? So don't get carried away by, you know, giddiness of youth. So you might probably work out to kind of like look and appear youthful. You definitely will work out on your family, but I mean, this starts out of the gate. You're going to have the little bit tint of, okay, so I need to come to myself. So you see your earth underneath you is water. So this is going down deeper in emotional, finding out things that are still there, kind of getting them to the surface, right? Above you is fire and air, even above fire. So what do we see here? We first see Six of Cups. 10 of Pentacles, we have Page of Wands, 8 of Cups, then we again have Page of Cups, 3 of Wands, Judgment. Then that's what I was showing you, it's you again, you're not escaping the devil. Then you have 10 of Cups. You guys really like with work. Then you have Lovers, and then you have the Emperor. So because these are houses, I'm reading them a little bit differently, because with houses, it's not a point reading, let's say, negative or lesser or alternative way of looking in a card. With kind of like this way of reading, you're always looking into the potential. And this is like what you should be doing. This is kind of like what you should be debating and working with. The second house is like your I have house, the house of personal resources. And you have possibly the best card. Remember, you had the King of Pentacles over there, which I didn't know if it was somebody else or you. This is kind of like a really card that talks about not just emotions, actually more or less about lineage, more or less who are the people you want to see in your future. It also talks about inheritances, etc., right? And when you see this card, and it is like in your house of money, possessions, values, and skill, you know you had this breathing card. This is telling me to take a deep breath and release your worries. You have done well, and your rewards will be coming this year. You basically earned your peaceful place in the sun. So whatever stage of life basically you're in, this is what's going to be happening. So take stock of the things you value, whether they are material, emotional, or, you know, spiritual. So give them highest priority to keep the blessings, and these blessings will be coming in both directions. You'll be receiving them and taking them. I really see this very connected, especially because it's an earth card. It is your element, right? I see that like very, very connecting that to you. And plus on the opposite side over here, so this is again, you know, when you're coming to be yourself, that means this is like that huge fullness that everything has to happen, and this entire 180 has to happen. And I actually totally see that it is happening for you guys, and there is this big shift. So rest assured that it's not going to be a big obstacle for you getting this financial success, because I know this is like something that is really important for an earth sign. How do I pay my bills? How I'm seen? Am I seeing like properly? Like you guys really dress properly. Oh my God. My very last boss was a Capricorn, he was sort of a cusp, January 20th, with Aquarius. But oh my God, like when we had to enter the events, right? Like he was, oh, am I buttoned up? He's like, oh my gosh, it was like so sweet. Like everything had to be perfect. Like this utmost kind of appreciation. And how much he appreciated his wife and his daughter and his family was amazing. So when I see this card, I always think of him and how basically that can actually function, not kind of looking left or right, but sort of like really doing well. But this in you is falling in the house of money, possessions, values, and skills. So check mark. That's going to fly this year. You're going to look great. So now let's see what's going to happen here in your, I think, kind of segment, which I call immediate environment. And this is talking about mental activity, learning, siblings, and communication. So it is going inside. Remember, we had lots of that sanctuary over here. So this looks like it's going to get activated in the second part of the year, right? So this is a person whose Page of Wands is a person who's like a phoenix rising, right? Screaming from basically this campfire. That's what you can see, right? Look at that. It was just a tiny little kind of fire, but oh my gosh, he's like super on charge, right? So this is a soul basically that longs for magic and meaning. This is always somebody who is messenger. So maybe, you know, there's somebody who is a little bit self-conscious because you are working on your physical appearance. You're going to soften it. You're going to be looking very feminine if you're ladies. If you're guys, you'll be actually wearing colors that will be a little bit different. I picked the colors will be kind of like pink gray. It's kind of like that lavender mauve color, I guess it's called when it's combination in this. Maybe, I don't know if you can see it here, but that's sort of like the color he is wearing as well. So this is that going toward that, like, I mean, crown chakra, and this is like that beautiful phoenix that is rising all the way to the top, right? So this only thing that I would say maybe could be some kind of self-consciousness that, as I said, it could be some kind of fear of being mocked or not fully kind of belonging. So this is also the person who needs solitude to explore this kind of inner realms. That's what I said. You start having that cave and hermit kind of like falling like as of July 1st on. So maybe that's what's going to start to happen, because also you will be attracting and seeking teachers to encourage you, and you will be also choosing the friends that you want to keep and who really understand you. But most importantly, you will be looking at world differently. Who is bringing out the best out of you? Who is really fostering this like phoenix rising? And who is trying to throw water at it and stunt your growth, right? So if any of that happens, that you find that people are not really, maybe they're not capable at that point. Sometimes it takes right time for people to click. This is the nurturing house. House number 4 talks about home and parents and roots and inner security. So look at this here, you know, we see a cloaked and hooded man again. Look at him. Can you see this? Right? And he walks away from this 8 golden chalices. So it's the same thing. I believe this is the same person. But look, this one is the fire and this one is basically cups, right? So what is really interesting in this particular interpretation of this tarot, and by the way, if you want this tarot, go on my website under recommends section. This, you can get it there. It is like very inexpensive, but it's kind of like a good study of tarot, and I advise taking the whole kit. But this card in particular, it talks about this hooded man is carrying with him something under this cloak, and all this kind of like cups are cracked. Maybe something that you wanted is no longer what you want, as we kind of saw it previously, right? So this also can be talking about the matters of heart. Maybe because this is also the, like, basically the card of home and family and longevity and inheritances and everything, right? Here, this tells me there's going to be a whole bunch of emotions. Maybe kind of finding yourself will require digging deep, finding out what happened when you were a little child. What were these critical moments in life that shifted you left or right? And you know, we all have like this 5 to 10 moments that we remember as if they're just happening right now. Those are the moments who form who you are. And I think these 8 cups are really showing those moments. This person is fully formed because after this, you went to the hermit stage, which you got in the general reading. So don't let others judge you. You have to find maybe if your family was your support or wasn't your support. And if they weren't, don't let them judge you, because this path forward may be challenging, but often the hardest part is making the decision to cut your losses and leave behind what's broken. So it is kind of interesting because something is going to the basics of these roots, of the security of who you are. And pages are messages, right? It is always something about moving forward. And this is like a page of fire. So as I said, first you went below, then you went back into your center and now going higher, right? As you can see. And then again, you're going below. You're literally kind of doing a lots of cleaning, trying to find out who you really are, who you want to be with. I have a feeling for some of you, I'm not saying you're going to cut out your parents, and I'm not saying you're going to have any drastic changes, but I think you're going to figure out what works for you, because I can see here you will actually have completely different things. I think this is just a matter of minimizing things that don't work anymore, because this is a house number 5, and house number 5 and house number 7 everybody is like so looking forward to, because this is the house of I serve and work, pardon me, romance, children, fun, and creativity. And lucky you, you're getting Page of Cups. So this is somebody with a gentle attitude, right? You see, like you have been dealing with certain things, resurrect them, and maybe you got a little bit harsh, and then you kind of like grounded yourself and say, okay, wait a minute, I don't want this to be kind of like placed upon me, nor do I actually want to give to somebody else. So hence you kind of like figure out what you want. In this particular case, you know, this is like innocent heart and somebody with pure intention, right? So he basically holds the cup of love, but the fish here symbolizes this is a spiritual love, not carnal, at least not yet. So this person kind of like prefers peace to passion for basically this particular time, and it's kind of content to stay in the shallow waters of emotion for now, right? So this is a romance, guys. They're going to be somebody new. I'm seeing this, and it's going to start really gentle. But talking about carnal, oh yeah, it's coming, and it's coming in the house of the sex. You're coming there, so not going to be any shortage of that. And I know, like, I mean, a friend of mine say, oh, Capricorns, they should change their name to horn dogs. I say, okay, whatever. Thank you for your opinion. So then we are coming to the house number 6. It is like a house of service, of work, of health, self-improvement. And I see that kind of like you are really doing this kind of improving yourself through kind of different areas, but looks like some of them are already working. Like, looks like your work life is already sort of like on a really good trajectory. Now we are coming into kind of like, what is your vision? Because look at this, in this case he has a desert, he has to cross the desert. You really have to figure out where you're going, and especially if this guys pertains to your health, this kind of like can become crucial. So do your checkups. That's why like self-improvement should be health improvement as well, because what we are seeing here, white hot sun kind of like is basically blazing down upon sort of like a very arid scene, right? And this desert is like pretty kind of like inviting, if you would say. So this man is waiting for something to arrive. Why in the world would anybody look in the desert like this? even though you did get Vision Quest, and I really strongly feel that this is going to be the very last quarter. It is like going to be that kind of connectiveness of something, because he's waiting for maybe another person or an offer or maybe adventure. But whatever it is still some kind of distance away, but it's like steadily coming closer because this person is finding it really important to check on it. So what is it? Are you ready to receive it? What do you need to take care of to prepare yourself and your environment for these existing enterprises? Generally, usually this card is kind of interesting because this card generally shows person standing on the ledge and looking at the ships, right? And I always call the ships relationships, friendships, partnerships. So here, kind of like waiting, maybe something started to bubble and something is kind of continuing to push furthermore. Because now you're getting to this interesting part, to the Judgment card, which is one of my karma cards. I kind of like to see this card because it talks about clarity. So what do we see here? We do know that at least the concept that when the day of judgment arises, like we kind of have to figure out what is that we did and how are things going to kind of finish for us. So we see here 3 people, right, that have been called from their graves, right? But as they come forward to be judged, this man is holding a skull to show how he understands the transition from the flesh to kind of like a different kind of like levels or the nature of the flesh. The woman is holding this golden egg of Isis, which I believe theory is like it contains the universe, and hence she's acknowledging her own primal creative power, right? The child, check it out, has nothing. Child's hands are empty because he has nothing to prove. His consciousness clear and his innocence intact, right? Completely. So, and we are seeing this falcon above them, Horus, god of the rising sun. So consider this, guys. This is falling in your I partner house. What do you have to prove? And what would you bring before the angel of judgment? What would you think it was really important to discuss? What might represent your understanding of your life so far? And of course, in relations to marriage and any other partnerships in your life. And what would you offer as you move forward to the next phase? What is needed to let you be as lighthearted, as innocent as this child reborn? Because you see, this is the right side of judgment. This is where all of them are sort of innocent. And here's like where you kind of like are coming and saying, well, you know, maybe I need to make amends. Maybe I made some kind of like wrong moves here and there. So with this card is really that question, especially when it comes to your relationships, because I see it here. You guys have potential of having the King of Pentacles, which I saw it here as well. The very first card on the top, the next card will be again this King of Pentacles. So this is obviously some kind of central thing. I think those of you who are married, you're going to have stronger relationships, but you will be literally decimating all the things that are not working out and cleaning everything and everybody who did you wrong, including cleaning yourself and going deep inside of yourself and trying to figure out how can you actually communicate better and express your things better. Well, house number 8, sex, death, letting go, regeneration, other people's money, and sharing. And here you are, the devil. So this is kind of like a card that's very similar on both sides, right? And, you know, kind of like the back of the pedestal is sort of like a card with this, I guess, diabolical kind of things, you know? But we still have the sign of hope over here. See, whenever it's always reversed, it's always better, because the hope is starting to appear. Lotus is a flower that is born from the mud, and it represents always the spirit that can rise from even the deepest inferno, if you wish. So devil's attention at this stage is elsewhere. Maybe carnality is not going to be your first and foremost needed thing, right? So you basically will be able to seize the hope and things that kind of like rise above you. It's going to be kind of really a new direction. So this is new you. Remember, you had that devil reversed twice over there and once in the upright. So here is coming reversed, meaning like you're breaking off these chains, right? You're breaking this off. It's kind of interesting because you also have the opposite card of the devil, right? Here the people are still here, right? So you see like this regeneration is happening for you fully. So it's going to be plenty of sex, but I feel romance and where you're going with this is going to form this like special trinity that you'll be able to kind of like apply this year. House number 9 is exploration house. It talks about higher education, philosophy, publishing, religion, travel, and law. And then you're getting this like 10 of cups, kind of like unity, rainbow, things really working out. So maybe you're going to meet somebody while you travel, because this is definitely card of emotional fulfillment. Maybe you're finishing your studies and like this is going to really kind of like make you content and make you accomplished. Maybe you're going to kind of deliver either a baby or some kind of like birth of some kind of idea, of some kind of book. Maybe you're going to go deeper and study things that you need. This is definitely the travel card in this particular deck, and in this particular house it's a good merge. So I am really feeling that whether you don't have a partner or you do have a partner, that this year, as you can see, look at the ambiances. You have these arid environments in 4 different cards. So you will be spending lots of time on the beach or in some kind of like desert-like environments where things will do really, really well for you. So then the house number 10, which is your achieve house, you have lovers. So this is the house that talks about career, status, reputation, vocational purpose, and taking power. So lover's card was never about just love, and in this deck it shows very clearly, because we don't know who this person is yet, right? We kind of like are making a choice, maybe a temporary choice, to explore this unity of the mind. But this maybe, and since this is falling in your career house, you might actually commit temporarily to some project, to some kind of job. Maybe you will be sort of like acting director or acting CEO, or you're going to say, I'll try this business and let's see how it goes, right? Because you're going to give yourself another option to be possible. This is also the card of learning, because as the story of the Fool goes, the Fool meets this beautiful woman, but the angel goes, are you sure you want to go? Because you see, the angel is like really thinking and talking from the heart chakra. But the angel is saying there's so much more that you need to conquer. Don't you want to explore what is in this mist? So your career is going to work really well. And as I said, you're going to be on fire there, and there are not going to be obstacles. Now, when it comes to your friends and groups and goals and aspirations, well, I guess you cannot go upstairs and downstairs at the same time, because if this basically year, at least the second half of the year, is asking for you to kind of contain and find the answers inside, walk away from things that are not serving you, firm yourself up and love even the bits that are hard to love, you are going to turn your back to the big groups. You're going to turn your back to, maybe you're going to even appear to be a little cold, and that's why I guess possible suggestion is in this card. Come on, get this fire up your butt, kind of like get it going. But I really think, and especially more so because the house number 12, you have the full sun, that more or less for you, that will be exploration about who you are. All these cards are telling me you're going deep inside. You're kind of really trying to find out who you are, how you integrate with the other people, what other people do for you, what is real, what is not real. And it's not going to be monetary based, because you have like these 2 tens, which is like amazing trajectory. It's a new turning around things on an amazing good ground. It's really amazing. So this kind of rulership, which maybe was appealing to you, is no longer being appealing. And in fact, when you start seeing this and observing in the other people, it's going to be, I don't know about that. You might shy away from it. And this is the house of the solitude and institutions and transcendence and possibly self-sabotage. So here we have the sun reversed. So this is a little bit interesting, because you have, as you can see, there is this child and innocence of somebody who... I'm really sorry, I kind of like finished my entire speech and then I realized that this kind of like broke it off again. So I have severe Mercury retrograde. I wanted to record one more sign today, but I'm not going to do that. So I was just saying, the sun basically is always a good card, whether it's up or down. But this is falling in your basically groups of solitudes, institutions, and it's definitely asking you to do that, right? Because it is basically telling you that everything will be well, but maybe that your doubts and fears are justified. So it's good to be aware of the challenges and to be on your guard. But just like the other side around, it keeps saying keep moving forward and expand upon your plans to include contingencies for darker times. But remember that the morning will always come again, and it is kind of really important. So again, we see this like kind of connectivity, because you see this is the red, what you had the base chakra, and here, I don't know if you can see it, it's purple, and there is like this light coming through as well. So it's not fully coming through, and that's what you need to work on, and this is why it's falling in your house of solitude. So guys, what basically I'm going to do next, I'm going to Lenormand, and with Lenormand we are going to see kind of like lay of the land and what other basically possibilities and options I see coming to you in 2018. Guys, so let's check what I can see over here. So in Lenormand we have 36 cards, right? Generally people read 3 or sometimes like 9 cards. I'm reading for you the entire 32, the entire spread. So Lenormand is sort of like different. It came from Madame Lenormand or Lenormand, I'm not so sure how it's pronounced. But she was basically the key person of all these discoveries. They're not as complex as tarot, because tarot goes to deeply spiritual, esoteric. This is more or less lay of the land. So there are 2 significators. The lady, which is actually falling in a karma house. So that kind of like is what is making it very interesting, because this is the house number 36, or the cross. And he is the gentleman over here, which is also another significator. So this is falling in the house of a cross. So either of them can be you, or both of them can be you, right? So I'm seeing over here that also there is a snake, but it's coming to the grave. So maybe you have been dealing with somebody, and that's what we saw it in the generic part, and you're kind of putting an end to it. Maybe there was a messing from a third party and kind of like coming into your love and your dating. Or maybe your partner couldn't choose between these two people, or you couldn't choose between the two people. But look, you're also here getting the sun coming here and coming to this kind of fullness of understanding. Okay, not only do I know where I'm going, but I'm kind of like putting my anchor down. Right? The heart of this reading is overcoming obstacles. And again, I see trouble. I see trouble galore for you guys. And it's going to be meeting new people. Literally, you're not going to have many issues, even though the biggest challenges you will have will be clearing out certain things from the past. I think some of you have a big question in your mind. Why? Why you haven't been loyal to me? Why have you made these promises to me and you didn't keep them? Why did you kill this? So I see this as kind of like something on emotional level that has to resolve, especially more so if you had some kind of domestic disturbances, issues, or, you know, if you're going through some kind of like legal things with your partner. Now, I also see that one of these significators is having to do with being too smart for his own good. So if this is you guys, it is always good to kind of see how to kind of like pull it in, because this is year for pulling it in. This is year for not keeping these things bottled and not kind of having this blame game. In fact, kind of like to discover, because you're cutting some things out and you are really working on the others, because it's kind of weird. You're cutting here this child, and the child is basically in the house of the grave. Child is not necessarily kind of getting rid of a child, but this also can mean with divorce you're not going to have access to one child, especially if you are a man. Looks like you will not win the custody if you're a man, and the wife is going to get it. So if you're a wife, you're going to get a custody. So it's kind of like always the opposite when I'm doing this, like more, it's not general anymore, because this is kind of like more for dedicated audience. So this is kind of like more funnel to you. You are definitely getting out with clarity. You are kind of finding out what is it you want, and you're going to have luck on your side as well. I see that. If you guys are doing anything entrepreneurial or have been doing this is going to be another kind of like beautiful discovery that you will want to have. Now, the ring is in the house of the letter. You guys might actually have a business proposal or a personal proposal being given to you via text message or via a letter, via email. It's going to be kind of different. It's not going to be necessarily like, I mean, kneeling down and kind of doing this, right? So another thing that I really see here is, ladies, especially ladies, you're really coming to yourself, who you are. And maybe you have felt for a while being somewhere on the bottom. Like, see, like I told you, this is a year number 11. Lady is 29 in this deck, and gentleman is 28. It's still 1, and this is 11. 2017 was the year number 1. Year number 1 is when you plant a seed. When you ever see aces in tarot, yeah, they're good omens. Something new is turning. You're like, you can read a new book. This doesn't mean you're going to read it till the end. You're just like at the page number 1. So there's like still exploration that has to happen. So I see kind of like a good trajectory. Like I see that kind of coming into this enthusiasm and light and moving forward. And some of you kind of settling down, not necessarily like, I mean, marrying, but like, I mean, literally really quickly can happen, because it looks like the second part of the year you're going to be more toned down. Like the first part, the first 6 months will be lots of things. It will be dealing with inner things, cleaning them out, and getting rid of things that actually you really feel were not productive or kind of like created you some kind of turmoil or issues. Because this dog here is in the house of the woman, and the woman is in the house of the cross. So this is all kind of like sticking together around some kind of past issues. There could be also health issues of some kind of kind that have been kind of like brewing for a while. I think you're finally finding either clarity or a way of how to deal with that, and this is finally starting to move forward. If you guys are planning to get pregnant, especially if you're a guy, since you had so much devil everywhere, I told you, sex will be everywhere. Make a minimum investment to prevent this if this is not what you want, because you will get it if you don't do that. So if you guys want a child, this is going to be a really welcome news. It's going to come by surprise, and it might be also that you will be with a partner who's going to get pregnant and lose a child on a first try, but it's going to be successful on a second try as well. So guys, the center of this reading, the ship, the locket, the rider, and the garden, there will be lots of dates. There will be troubles, but I feel they will be really packed in the first 6 months, and then you're going to start feeling, you're going to start having something as feeling of brewing under the surface. You'll be sitting on a date and you will be listening to your partner, but then you're going to see a little bird chirping, and you're going to throw a few drops sitting out on the patio, and then you're going to get connected. You're going to realize, wait a minute, this was just my angel. I was just reminded I have to do this work. Or you're going to sit in a park, and all of a sudden you're going to hear this like waterfall of hot air on your face, and oh my gosh, this is that wind. I need to activate, and I need to breathe. Yes, my breathing is shallow. I need to go deeper. Is this person the best for me? Do I want to stay here? Literally everything will have so many more deep layers. You are going to really figure out what is important, what is not important. Capricorn, this is a really, really big year for you. And lastly, I'm going to pull 2 more cards for you to seal this reading. And let's see, Capricorn, 2000, and I already have it, 18, protecting treasure. Oh my gosh, such a lovely card. And I want one more from the other deck. Capricorn, protecting treasure. And here you have, wow, deep knowing. So let's start with this one first. It says, you're always protected and divinely directed. Although this is a time of great risk, know that at a fundamental level, you're able to move forward safely and securely. This proverbial nest egg is safe and sound, no matter the fluctuations in the world. Guardian angels and other guides are whispering to you, making you aware of that protective presence. Hello, we are getting these messages everywhere. Your loyalty is an important theme now. Nurture that which you hold dear. This is a good time to strengthen bonds of friendship and ensure their integrity. If you feel tested right now, know that a true and loyal heart always achieves its aim. Take refuge under an angel's wing. You are not alone and have no need to fear. Embrace your courage. And let's see this deep knowing. And there are like several messages here. I will read to you all layers because it's a actually really good message. It says, the Oracle. Intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with Source, the consciousness that you are part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It is perplexing that people are thought to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to assess their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind of 5 senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You are now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing, so tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. Relationship message. There are occasions when you just know deep in your heart and soul that the person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path and suddenly out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone has entered your life who will be instrumental in your journey. So pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart and lead you now. Magic is about to happen. And lastly, protection message. You are in empathy overload and need to get grounded again, so tune out for a bit. Remember? Cave. Hypersensitive, you're suffering from psychic exhaustion. The signals are time for recharging of your batteries. Set energetic boundaries, take a salt bath, empty your mind, and get back to you. It is not a time to be too open. Soon enough, you can let your guard down. But right now, you need self-care and self-love. It is time to say no thank you to anyone in your life who exhausts you. Won't that feel good? So my dear Capricorn, I hope you enjoy this. I really wish you the best of 2018. It is like very much number 11 from all the signs that I have been reading so far. So don't think that you're going to be lonely in your self-exploration. We all will be doing this. And I guess 2019 is going to be a much better world. And we are such a short distance from it, and we all have to do our own share. So thank you so much for your order. And thank you so much for sticking with me till the end of this presentation. And I wish you all the best. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to contact me on my website, www.cattarot.ca. Love you. Have a wonderful 2018.